Television in the 1970s and 1980s marked a golden era when leading men weren't just stars. They were legendary icons for an entire generation. They graced our screens week after week, bringing charm, charisma, and style that captivated millions of viewers. But behind all that fame and spotlight were lives full of twists and turns marked by scandals, illness, or self-destructive choices. In today's video, let's take a look at how time has changed these once-beloved heartthrobs. Johnny Depp. From Hollywood heartthrob to Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp was once the golden boy of both Tim Burton's imagination and the global box office. But after a headline-dominating 6-year legal battle with ex-wife Amber Heard, the public's attention shifted from his films to his messy personal life, earning him the dubious nickname, the first man to ever win an argument with his wife. These days, he's mostly seen at European film festivals, though no longer as an award recipient. Harrison Ford. The legendary Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Harrison Ford was the dream hero of every generation since the 1970s. His co-star in the series 1923, Helen Mirren, shared how thrilled she was to act alongside him, describing Ford as professional, funny, and refreshingly free of any star attitude. Now in his 80s, he remains a respected icon, with his recent roles largely carried by the enduring loyalty of longtime fans. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was once the ultimate action movie icon, beloved for his tough guy charm in the Die Hard series. In the later years of his career, he appeared in dozens of low-budget films, leading many to question the quality behind those choices. It wasn't until he publicly revealed his diagnosis of dementia in 2023 that fans realized he had been fighting to keep acting driven by passion even as his abilities began to fade. Robert Redford. Who could ever forget the dashing Robert Redford in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or his clever charisma in The Sting? He co-founded the Sundance Film Festival in 1978 and officially retired in 2018 after his final role in The Old Man and the Gun. Since then, Redford has lived a reclusive life, rarely appearing in public, though his name remains synonymous with quality and influence in independent cinema. Michael Douglas. There was a time when Michael Douglas was the ultimate Hollywood leading man, seductive, powerful, and dangerously charismatic in Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, and Wall Street, the last of which earned him an Oscar in 1987. But after revealing his battle with throat cancer in 2010 and enduring a rocky marriage with Catherine Zeta-Jones, his once commanding image began to fade. Today, he mostly appears in tired-looking supporting roles in Marvel films or in interviews reflecting on aging, illness, and a marriage that seems to be held together by sheer will. George Clooney. If you still remember the title, The Sexiest Man Alive, then you certainly haven't forgotten George Clooney, the star of the Ocean's 11 series and the charming doctor who won hearts in ER, conquering both Hollywood and critics alike. After marrying Amal in 2014 and settling down in Italy, his acting career noticeably slowed down. In recent years, Clooney has focused more on directing low-profile indie films and starring in coffee commercials than appearing on the big screen. John Travolta. From Saturday Night Fever to Pulp Fiction, John Travolta amazed Hollywood not once, but twice with his remarkable comebacks. However, after the tragic loss of his son in 2009 and his wife Kelly Preston in 2020, his personal life took a somber and quiet turn. These days, he is mostly seen with a shaved head in commercials or on social media, far removed from the spotlight that once adored him. Patrick Swayze. Patrick was that rare combination of raw masculinity and incredible grace. Handsome and strong, he was a real cowboy with a tender heart, said actress Jennifer Grey, reflecting on their shared success in Dirty Dancing. Swayze was a defining star of the 1980s and 90s who moved millions with his performances, but after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2008, he lived for less than 2 more years. His death at 57 not only ended a promising career, but also left behind deep sorrow for fans who had admired his strength and romantic screen presence. Kurt Russell. Once a defining action hero of the 1980s with standout roles in Escape from New York and The Thing. Kurt Russell was known for his rugged charm and magnetic screen presence. In recent years, he has taken on more modest roles, from playing Santa Claus in The Christmas Chronicles to supporting parts in the Fast and Furious franchise. Now in his 70s, Russell lives a quiet life alongside longtime partner Goldie Hawn, having largely stepped away from mainstream cinema. Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is a beloved actor whose career has spanned over 6 decades, with standout roles in films like The Big Lebowski and Crazy Heart, the latter earning him an Academy Award in 2010. In 2020, he revealed his lymphoma diagnosis, followed by a severe bout of COVID-19 that left his health significantly weakened. Although he made a partial recovery and returned to television with The Old Man in 2022, Bridges has admitted he no longer has the stamina to work the way he once did. Denzel Washington. When it comes to the most respected actors in Hollywood, few names carry the weight of Denzel Washington. A 2-time Oscar winner, he earned critical acclaim for his roles in Training Day, Malcolm X, and Glory. Now, in his late 60s, Washington appears less frequently, mostly in the ongoing Equalizer series, where the scripts are simpler and the characters more familiar. Lately, he has focused more on producing and supporting the career of his son, rather than pursuing major roles himself. Alec Baldwin, a prominent figure in both film and television. Alec Baldwin made his mark with roles in The Hunt for Red October and the comedy series 30 Rock. However, following the tragic on-set shooting during the filming of Rust in 2021, he has been entangled in prolonged legal battles and public controversy. His acting career has suffered a serious blow. And today, Baldwin's name is more often seen in court headlines than in movie credits. Robert Wagner. Among the famous faces from 70s-80s television, Robert Wagner truly made an impression with Heart to Heart. He also appeared in many major films from the 50s. However, after his wife's mysterious drowning in 1981, the name Wagner has been forever linked with unresolved suspicions. Though he still occasionally appears on TV, he lives under the scrutiny of public opinion. Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan was the James Bond of the 90s, charming, suave, and captivating in films like GoldenEye and Die Another Day. After being replaced by Daniel Craig, Brosnan shifted to supporting roles or elderly characters, losing much of the appeal he once had. While he remains active, he's now better known for roles in middle-tier films. Don Johnson. Don Johnson was the icon of the 80s. His portrayal of Sonny Crockett in Miami Vice earned him both fame and a fashion sense that defined the era. After a long period of relative obscurity, he made a surprising return with supporting roles in Django Unchained and Knives Out. However, most of his career nowadays revolves around smaller projects. Lee Majors. Lee Majors was a TV icon of the 70s with his role in The $6 Million Man. This role captured the nation's imagination with its depiction of a super-powered cyborg. After the fame faded, he slowly transitioned into guest appearances in nostalgic shows for older audiences. Now in his 80s, Major still appears at fan meetings, but no longer maintains the charm he once had. David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff was a global TV star with Knight Rider and Baywatch. He was so famous that he even earned a Guinness World Record for his massive viewer base. However, his music career was only popular in Germany. In the US, he often became the subject of ridicule. Recently, he has largely relied on self-deprecating cameos, game shows, and lived off the glow of his past fame. Richard Dean Anderson. Do you remember Richard Dean Anderson? He made his mark with the role of MacGyver, the man who could make a bomb out of a paperclip and chewing gum. This role quickly became a pop culture icon throughout the 80s. He later enjoyed success with Stargate SG-1, but then nearly disappeared from the screen in the mid-2000s. Nowadays, he lives quietly, refusing to make a comeback, and is often remembered more through memes than his films. Alan Alda. Alan Alda became famous for his role as Dr. Hawkeye in Maz H., one of the most beloved and influential sitcoms in the history of American television. However, in 2018, Alda revealed he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Since then, he has appeared in a few podcasts and TV programs, but has primarily focused on inspiring others rather than acting. Jason Bateman. If you're a fan of dark, ruthless characters, then you surely know Jason Bateman. He was a teen star in the 80s. After nearly 15 years of being forgotten, he made a spectacular comeback with Arrested Development and Ozark. This period earned him an Emmy and critical acclaim. Nowadays, Bateman focuses on directing and producing, making his mark in the industry, but no longer being the leading face in front of the camera. James Garner. James Garner was once the TV hero in Maverick and The Rockford Files, and continued to make an impact in later films. With his calm, intelligent demeanor, he extended his acting career for decades, with his final appearance in The Notebook in 2004, which brought tears to an entire generation. His passing at the age of 86 left many fans in deep mourning. Burt Reynolds. Do you remember Burt Reynolds when his name is mentioned? The image of a muscular, humorous man with a legendary mustache immediately comes to mind. He was Hollywood's #1 leading man in the 70s, with Deliverance and Smokey and The Bandit. After turning down many major roles and falling into bankruptcy, he spent much of his later career doing B-movies until his death in 2018. Nowadays, many remember him as a symbol of fleeting glamour in Hollywood. Patrick Duffy. Patrick Duffy was a television star with his role as Bobby Ewing in Dallas, a character who shocked the entire nation by coming back to life after a season. He then continued to make his mark with Step by Step, but his career quickly stalled as the younger generation grew indifferent to traditional sitcoms. So, what is he doing now? Duffy lives quietly, appearing in a few small TV roles while healing from the shock of losing his wife in 2017. Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon started as a teen idol in the 80s before proving his talent with gritty roles in Drugstore Cowboy and Crash, the latter of which earned him an Oscar nomination. Although still maintaining his good looks, his film career gradually faded with forgettable supporting roles. Dillon now lives a quiet life, rarely appearing on the red carpet or in major projects. Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was the hero of the 80s with his role as Marty McFly in Back to the Future and his sitcom Family Ties. After being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 1991 at just 30 years old, he fought tirelessly. acting while becoming a symbol of resilience. In recent years, despite still making public appearances, his health has forced him to step back from acting. Roger Moore, who holds the record for playing 007 the most times in history. Roger Moore. He was perhaps the most elegant and witty James Bond, although not as highly regarded as Sean Connery. Moore made a lasting impact on an entire generation with his gentlemanly charm and quiet confidence. In his later years, he dedicated himself to charity work and passed away at the age of 89. Henry Winkler. Do you remember Henry Winkler? The legendary character from Happy Days who made an entire nation mimic his gestures and wear leather jackets. After his rise to fame, he struggled for decades to break free from the shadow of his iconic role. But in 2018, he made a stunning comeback in the series Barry, winning an Emmy. Even though he's no longer young, Winkler has maintained his endearing charm and humor, making him a rare example of the adorable celebrity in a world of fame and fortune. Larry Hagman. Larry Hagman became the most unforgettable villain in American television history with his role as J.R. Ewing in Dallas. So much so that the world collectively held its breath, asking who shot J.R. in 1980. After undergoing a liver transplant due to severe alcoholism, he tried to make a return in the Dallas reboot before passing away in 2012. His legacy remains as a cunning, detestable character, yet one you couldn't take your eyes off. Tom Skerritt. Tom Skerritt, a familiar face known for his strong supporting roles in films like Alien, Top Gun, and A River Runs Through It. While he rarely led the charge in films, Skerritt was considered Hollywood's rock due to his calming presence and reassuring voice. Now in his 90s, he has mostly stepped away from the limelight, only occasionally appearing in local projects and short films. Scott Baio. Scott Baio. Once a beloved teen idol with his role as Chachi in Happy Days and its spin-off, Joni Loves Chachi. But his career quickly faded, and he became more known for his controversial political statements. Though he claims to still be working in the arts, most people remember him as a cautionary tale of a celebrity who faded away from the spotlight. David Cassidy. David Cassidy's greatest success came from making millions of teenage girls in the 70s hang posters of him in their bedrooms and dream about the charming Keith from The Partridge Family. But that fleeting fame also came with a slew of troubles: alcoholism, bankruptcy, and multiple arrests. After revealing that he had dementia, he passed away in 2017 from liver failure. Richard Chamberlain. Richard Chamberlain was Dr. Kildare in the 1960s TV series of the same name and became the king of the miniseries with The Thornbirds and Shogun. Throughout his long career, he kept his personal life private until coming out as gay at the age of 69. So, what is he up to now? He lives a reclusive life in Hawaii and rarely appears in public. Christopher Reeve. As the classic Superman, Christopher Reeve became an immortal icon of the 80s with his portrayal of the strong and compassionate superhero. Tragically, a horse riding accident in 1995 left him paralyzed from the neck down. Reeve passed away in 2004, but he's still remembered as a true hero. David Soul. David Soul gained worldwide fame for his role as Ken Hutch in Starsky and Hutch, and his singing career with the hit Don't Give Up on Us. But after the glory days, he struggled with alcoholism and a chaotic personal life. Ultimately, he chose to start anew in the UK. Recently, he's made sporadic appearances in a few plays, but most American audiences think he retired long ago. Gregory Harrison, once a charming icon on TV with his role as a doctor in Trapper John, M.D. Gregory Harrison was considered the ideal man in the 80s. He spent many years acting in TV films and touring in musicals, but never regained the spotlight he once had. Though he's still working steadily, Harrison now mainly appears in places where the audience is over 50. Robert Conrad, the action hero of the 60s and 70s in the Wild Wild West. Robert Conrad became famous for his fearless attitude and notorious arrogance. Later, his fame faded after a car accident caused by drunk driving, which left him paralyzed on one side of his body in 2003. Conrad passed away in 2020, leaving behind the image of a tough man, both on and off the screen. Philip Michael Thomas. Philip Michael Thomas was a style icon with his role as Tubbs in Miami Vice, making collarless suits and white t-shirts a nationwide trend. After the series ended, he disappeared from Hollywood, focusing on New Age music and promoting a peculiar term he coined, EGOT Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, despite never winning any of them. Ted McGinley. Ted McGinley is best known for Married with Children and Love Boat. In pop culture, he's even earned the nickname The Show Killer for often appearing when a series is about to be canceled. Although a familiar face throughout the 80s and 90s, his movie career never took off. In recent years, McGinley has mostly appeared in Hallmark films or lesser-known sitcoms. Tony Danza. If you were impressed by the kind, slightly goofy but lovable guy in Taxi and Who's the Boss, Tony Danza certainly proved himself as a talented actor. After his peak years, he ventured into teaching, hosting talk shows, and even tried his hand on Broadway, but none of these helped him regain his former glory. Danza remains active, but more as a nostalgic figure from his golden days rather than creating new memorable moments. Treat Williams. Treat Williams was once hailed as a formidable talent with hair and Prince of the City. It seemed he would become a major movie star, but his career shifted to television and independent films, without any major breakthroughs. He tragically passed away in 2023 due to a motorcycle accident, closing the chapter on a quietly respected artistic career. Anson Williams. As Potsy, the lovable character from Happy Days. Anson Williams once made millions of girls swoon with his sweet smile. After stepping away from the spotlight, he transitioned into television directing and almost became the mayor of Ojai in 2022. Although he no longer sings, Williams continues to work diligently behind the scenes, leaving the stage for the younger generation to take over. Kirk Cameron. Did you ever hang a poster of Kirk Cameron in your bedroom? As Mike Seaver in Growing Pains, the teen idol of the 80s, he once stirred up the youth of the time. But then, he left mainstream Hollywood, becoming a controversial figure in the evangelical community and extremist religious films. Today, Cameron is more known in the conservative Christian community than in the entertainment industry. Richard Thomas, John Boy from The Waltons, the character representing the innocence and kindness of 70s American television, has persistently pursued acting in television, stage, and voiceover work, but never reached his former peak. Currently, Thomas still works diligently and quietly in plays and television shows. Emilio Estevez. Though only the unofficial leader of the Brat Pack with The Breakfast Club and Young Guns, Emilio Estevez unexpectedly found success with the Mighty Ducks series. Unlike his brother Charlie Sheen, Emilio stayed away from scandals and gradually shifted away from lead roles to focus on directing and writing scripts. Today, he lives quietly, occasionally resurfacing as an independent director, indifferent to fame. Larry Wilcox. Larry Wilcox was one half of the Chips duo, always calm next to the lively Eric Estrada. Together, they created the iconic police duo on the California highways. But after leaving the show, Wilcox got involved in dubious business ventures and was convicted in a securities fraud case in 2010. He kept a low profile afterward and nearly disappeared from the entertainment industry. Bruce Boxleitner. With a familiar face from Scarecrow and Mrs. King, and later as the captain in Babylon 5, Bruce Boxleitner captivated sci-fi fans throughout the 80s and 90s. Despite starring alongside big names like Clint Eastwood, Boxleitner never reached movie star status. Recently, he has appeared sporadically in small TV shows and sci-fi fan conventions, signing old photos. Gary Cole. Gary Cole, the infamous boss from Office Space, was once one of the busiest TV actors, but audiences rarely remembered his name. From The West Wing to Veep, he always did his job well, but rarely was in the spotlight. Currently, Cole still appears regularly on television, with no standout activities. Barry Williams. Barry Williams as Greg Brady, the handsome eldest son in The Brady Bunch, the teen icon of the 70s that every girl wanted to date. After this success, he struggled with a failed music career, and the numerous Brady reboot films didn't catch much attention. Recently, he made an unexpected return on the 2023 season of Dancing with the Stars, evoking many nostalgic feelings from the audience. Rob Lowe. With a face often regarded as perfect, Rob Lowe was once the beauty icon of the Brat Pack. After the infamous sex tape scandal in the 80s, Lowe made a bold move by taking on self-parody roles in The West Wing, Parks and Recreation, and more recently, 911 Lone Star. Though in his 60s, he continues to fight aging and strives to maintain his name in the industry. Peter Strauss, rising to fame with popular miniseries such as Rich Man, Poor Man, and Masada. Peter Strauss became the serious face of American television during its golden age. As TV trends shifted, he turned to farming and rarely returned to the screen. His life now is incredibly simple and shows no sign of nostalgia for his golden years. You can see, time really doesn't spare anyone. After watching this video, you might be surprised to see how a handsome guy who made you swoon back in the day could spiral down so drastically. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to comment below about your favorite topic and stay tuned for more interesting videos in the future. Subscribe to our channel to support us.